was going to talk about checking for queen cells.
Yeah.
We'll do that. So that's on there. All you need to do, tip it up, bring it forward just a little bit. You might need a little bit extra for this one. And you'll be able to look underneath, all the cell frames underneath. There's none in this case that I can see, but you'll definitely see cells hanging off the bottom there, if they're there. Okay. That's your quick check. Do I need to do a bigger inspection or not? These queen cells on the bottom, then yes. We always try not to work in front of the entrance, but in this case I'm going to work in front of the entrance of this one. First frame out, always the first frame out on the side you're closest to you, so don't go reaching over to grab that one. All you're doing is just stirring up the bees, getting them agitated. It's a quick check, there's a bit of nectar in that frame. Sit it on its side though, not on the bottom. If it's got more bees on it than that, could have a queen walking along there, you didn't see her. She tends to, if you're holding the frame, she'll walk over and hide on that side, put the frame back, she'll go back under that side. If we put the frame down on this bottom bar, risk squashing the queen. There's chance of it that way if you do miss it. The hive tool, this one, hasn't got the J hook on it, but we can use this to help us pry it apart. So, twisting sideways. Someone was asking about cutting queen cells out before. Looks like I've done that before. And I've built another one in there. It's just what we call a play cup, a queen cell. It's not actually a swarming cell or anything as such. They just make practice cups or play cups. You always just have a check to see if there's anything in there. How much brood would you say was on that frame, on that side? If you try to total it up, percentage wise.
20.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's because it's half the frame, wasn't it?
Yeah, so well, half of that side maybe, a bit less than
about
half.
a quarter,
Yeah.
third,
On that side,
third.
so maybe 2/3 of the frame of brood on there. There's very, very little in the way of food in that frame. You can see a bit of fresh nectar there. So again, there's a lot of pollen in that frame. So pretty colourful, eh? All that pollen just up in here. Bright oranges, browns, yellows. Some of these hives, when you go through them, you'll find there's probably not as strong as they could be or should be, because I stripped a whole lot of bees out of them a couple of weeks ago because they were on the verge of swarming and they had another week to go in the avocado orchard, so I took frames of brood out just to slow them down a bit. There's still time for them to build up again in this area for the honey flow. My guess is there's going to be more bees and brood in this box than this one. So constantly, the queen and the bees love working up, they love going up. So there'll probably more brood and resources in this box than this bottom one. So what could we do to fix the situation where the bees love going up? Have we done Any box swapping before? With you guys swapping the brood boxes around?
The other guy who's
Okay, so that's alright in there. I'm not going to swarm or anything like that. But I can tell looking down between frames, that gap, we call it a seam between the bees. So you look down there and you see all the bees looking back at me. Heaps in there. Yeah, so what's on? So heaps of nectar in there, eh? That was a new frame. It looked like that a few weeks back. Okay. So I'm going to shift this frame soon, further into the box, so the bees will start working on that side of it. I'll just leave it here for the time being. You saw me doing this with the hive tool before, eh? Doing that. You don't have that bend on your hive tool. Just use it that way to pry it apart. More bees and brood on there, eh? Nice band of honey above the bees. So it's a really nice brood frame. Like that. Talk about pearly white larvae. Well. These are nice and calm. Nice brood pattern, heaps of drones. Fresh eggs in those gaps in the brood frame. I'm not looking for the queen as such. If she pops up and she's there, that's cool. But I can see eggs and larvae, fresh larvae there. So I know the queen was laying on the frame at least a day ago. Particularly because of the eggs. Okay, so that's the outside frame. Once again, it's all full of honey or fresh nectar. What's the difference between honey and nectar? Yeah. You guys know what the difference between honey and nectar is? All honey is the nectar's had all the moisture. It's down below 20% moisture content. It's classified as honey at that point. Before that, it's above 20%. It's just nectar straight out of the flower. These haven't processed it, haven't evaporated all the moisture out of it. So I'm going to take this frame. It's the one that had the bare foundation on that side. This is what checkerboarding is, in a way. Cells a gap. Because the bees are on a nectar flow at the moment, they require nectar to make wax. You can't put just like an old honey box on there with old frames of honey and get them to draw the new wax out. It doesn't work. They need fresh nectar to be able to do that, to get the physiology. You see that word? Physiology in their body's working to make that wax. So you need fresh nectar, or if they haven't got fresh nectar, you're feeding them something like 1-to-1 sugar syrup, or even a bit lighter. Okay, so a lot of brood and honey down in that box. I don't really want it at the top, so I'm going to swap things around. Now we run our hives as single brood boxes through the summer. There's no queen excluder. Can someone just grab one of those excluders? I've got some use the 3 box hive down there. So I'm going to, I didn't see the queen. If you can't find the queen, it doesn't matter, but you don't want any chance of the queen being above the excluder. So I'm just going to do a quick check again. It's not there. Quick check. See the fresh nectar I just shook out all over the. So all this brood that's in this on these frames is going to be above the excluder, away from the queen. What do you think might happen with potentially happen with any young eggs there, or larvae, if they're separated from the queen above? Yeah, it could make queen cells. So I've got to come back in a week after doing this, definitely before 14 days, and just to make sure no queen cells have been made on these frames. Otherwise, we'll end up with a queen being made up there. Queen being made up there, and she won't be able to get out of the hive because she's stuck above the queen excluder, and she'll become what we call a drone laying queen, and we'll end up with just a whole heap of drones in our honey boxes, which doesn't work all that well. So it defeats the purpose of us putting these brood frames above. Now, there's no worry doing that this time of the day. It's plenty warm enough. None of this brood is going to get cold at the moment. It's not going to get chilled. It's not going to die. Queen excluder on, that box on. All the bees are going to, nurse bees will come up through that queen excluder and look after that brood until it hatches. In the meantime, any field bees will start bringing nectar up through there too and storing it. Drone brood in there. Now, depending on what the hives that you each go through look like, we may need to add another box to it. So we've got some honey supers on there. This one's okay, it doesn't need the extra space just at the minute. But as I walk around between you guys, I'll just see whether we need to put another box on. Okay. Easy peasy. Double check the queen's not on there. Straps on all of these hives. You notice what's happening to this box? It's slipping sideways. These plastic queen excluders are notorious for it. Even if you've got a hive on a slight angle on a hot sunny day, they'll just slowly walk their way off. And as the wood expands and contracts too, they can just slowly creep their way across and turn up at an apiary a week later and find the box somehow mysteriously been knocked off the hive if they aren't strapped down. Just that they've slid off.